Hey everybody, Father Warner here. It's the Saturday of the first week of Advent, and that's how quickly time passes. The first week of Advent is already over. We're slipping into the second week, and soon we'll be at Christmas Day. But for now, the text for Saturday of the first week of Advent is taken from Isaiah chapter 30, verses 19 to 21, and verses 23 to 26. And our gospel is taken from Matthew chapter 9, verse 35, all the way down to chapter 10, verse 1, and then verses 6 and 8. Again, please follow the ordo for the readings, or go online, simply types readings for Saturday in the first week of Advent. You'll get on Google, you'll get the readings. Remember that in Advent, we do not follow a cyclic system. Normally we have cycle A, B and C, which means that the readings constantly change according to what cycle we are following. In Advent, it's always the same readings, yeah, in this year and the next year, 100 years from now. And we will continue mostly looking at the prophet Isaiah. I think somewhere at the end of next week we have one of the wisdom books or so, just one reading, but by and large the prophet Isaiah will dominate the readings for the first readings because of that constant message of hope. So I want to come to, I'm going to give you a reflection today based on the first reading, but even more on the gospel. I'm going to link the two. Once again, the theme that runs so strongly is the theme of hope in the first week, but today you'll hear of this teacher, of the need of a shepherd, of the need of ministers, that God's work requires you and me to be involved. So the first reading taken from Isaiah chapter 30, God begins very clearly, the prophet begins very clearly by saying, God hears our cries. And here's a confession that Isaiah makes, that the Lord our God, in a way, has given us the bread of suffering and the water of distress. And you'll say, that's a very cruel God, right? Why do I deserve the bread of suffering and the water of distress? But in the case of the people in the prophet Isaiah, they were at fault. They brought the bread of suffering and the water of distress upon themselves. They ate freely from a table laden with sin and suffering. The fruit of that eating was in what they experienced in their lives. So the prophet says, yes, the Lord has given you the bread of suffering and the water of distress, but hang on. Let's do an analysis and see who brought this upon himself. And then Isaiah refers to God as the teacher. A teacher who, what does the teacher do? Teach. It is the teacher who will bring you out of this. How does the teacher bring you out? Through punishment. The punishment is not because the teacher, has no one else to vent their anger on. No. The punishment is a form of bringing you to your senses, to bringing discipline into your life. So God says the teacher now will no longer hide from you. You will see your teacher. You will see who is your teacher? God, not others. Because you have eaten from the table of sin, because you have chosen to make others your God and not God your teacher, look what has come upon you. Now, very interestingly, in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 9, verses 35 to chapter 10, verses 1, and then verses 6 to 8, it begins by saying that Jesus made a tour through all the towns and villages, teaching in their synagogues, proclaiming the good news of the kingdom, and curing all kinds of diseases and sicknesses. And the first thing that struck me when I was doing this was, wow, Jesus decided, hey, I need to do a survey. Let me survey what's going on myself. God, Emmanuel, God with us, was not God sitting in a parish house or a parochial house or on a throne. He was God on the road. He was God surveying the needs of his people. It's not that God determined what his people wanted. It is a hands-on experience. He goes out Yeah, like a true psephologist at the time of an election. All the psephologists who sit in air-conditioned rooms get it wrong. But those who go onto the roads, who walk those streets, and Jesus does that, he is actually doing a survey. Now the results of the survey was amazing, because we are told when the Lord saw the crowds, he was sorry for them. The result of the survey was, this was a sad state of affairs. Now remember, Israel at this point of time was religiously governed by the Sanhedrin, by the chief priests, by the elders, by the scribes, by the Pharisees. You didn't have a dearth of people to impart religious knowledge. But look at the result of all that was being imparted at the ground level. We are told it was a sad state of affairs because Jesus, the scriptures describes the situation as they were harassed and dejected. Harassed maybe because of civil pressure, civil law, the Roman government, financial difficulties, family disputes. They were harassed. We are all experience a sense of this harassment, okay, which very often comes from others, but this also left them dejected. Dejection is, imagine Jesus going around and looking and seeing everyone downcast all the while. People who had given up, hope. Nothing can happen to us anymore. Our lives are finished. And this is what Jesus sees on his tour through all the towns and villages. And what's the first thing he does? He teaches them. Because he knows that bringing the good news of God is what is going to bring about a revival. He teaches, he proclaims, he cures all kinds of diseases. Now, the scriptures say that he saw them harassed and dejected like sheep without a shepherd. It doesn't say that these sheep did not have a shepherd. It's an analogy. They were so dejected. It's like, I don't know whether you've seen, I have a dear friend who often when I'm sad says, Warner, why are you looking like a sheep with a secret sorrow? If you look at sheep, they're always looking very, very sorrowful, yeah? And imagine now these sheep with their own secret sorrows without a shepherd to guide them. And that's how dejected they were. They were so downcast, like sheep without a shepherd. So Jesus says, hey, let's get an action plan in place. And this is why I'm telling you, read the text before. Because I'm giving you the action plan that Jesus goes about. First, he doesn't begin with an action plan. He begins with an analysis. He has gone around, done a survey. And Jesus says, well, we can solve this problem. And he states it so clearly. His analysis is this, and this is the analysis. He says, the harvest is rich, the laborers are few. There's a lot of work to be done. And the minute we hear this line, most of us begin to start saying, oh, we don't have enough of priests and religious, yeah? Who's going to give their children? Have you ever proposed that, encouraged that? Or in the true Indian mentality that we have, every child must be a doctor, lawyer, I don't know, and some great genius in the IT field, or make money, become rich. And I'm not saying money is a bad thing. Please make money, make it the right way, work hard. But who's going to offer their children to God? The harvest is rich. There's a lot of work to be done for the church. Laborers, you can't find them. So Jesus does not give you a fancy mission statement that's put up in the church. You know, make all things beautiful, lovely, making all things new, lovely mission statement. Hey, says Jesus, there's a lot of work to do, and we need to go beyond mission statements. We need, first of all, personnel. We need you. God is telling you, what about this Advent? You giving some of your time to the Lord. Then Jesus goes into an action plan. And this action plan has about 3 or 4 parts. Because Jesus has given us the analysis. He's done the survey. He's given us the analysis. And now he gives us the action plan. And the first thing he says is pray. You want an action plan? You see, the first thing when you think of action plan is we think of doing. Jesus says, relax. First you go to the Lord. First you go to God. Pray. Yes, people are dejected, depressed. We need to solve the problems in our parishes, in our churches, in our archdioceses. And Jesus says the first thing that he does after an analysis, after saying the harvest is great, the laborers are few, he says, okay, the action plan is going to be to pray to the Lord of the harvest. Pray that he will send a lot of young people to join the priesthood and the religious life. Then also pray that a lot of middle-aged and old people and family people will contribute their time. I believe honestly that if every family give us 2 hours in a week, we would be able to transform the world. But money is easily given. Time is far more difficult. And Jesus says, pray. Pray to the Lord. Do not despair. When you find yourself dejected and harassed, do not despair. Pray to the Lord of the harvest. God is in control. That's the first thing. The second point that Jesus makes is, and this is the second action plan, is he shares his authority with the 12. You see, Jesus doesn't say, listen, you 12, I am the one. Look, we are told that Jesus went around proclaiming the good news and curing all kinds of diseases and sicknesses. He didn't say, I'm the parish priest, I will cure sicknesses and diseases, and you, all of you, please be on the parish council and do some two-piece work there. No. He shares his authority. His authority. Not some small office with a desk and an outdated typewriter. No, he says, I'm going to share my authority. An authority over unclean spirits, to cast them out and to cure all kinds of diseases and sicknesses. Jesus gave his authority to the church. Now we have to ask ourselves, are we exercising this ministry in faith? Yesterday, the blind man, Jesus said to him, be done to me according to your faith. May you be cured according to your faith. Of late when I pray over sick people, I say, I heal you. I say, Lord, heal this person in your powerful and mighty name. Heal this person, because I know I'm unworthy, but you are the one, the divine healer. And I have to believe that this prayer works, not some half-baked prayer. We have to, as ministers, pray with certainty. I know, Lord, that you have given us, you have shared this authority of healing unclean spirits and casting them out and curing all diseases and all sicknesses. So Jesus, in his action plan, the second thing he does is he shares authority. The third thing, now very interestingly, I thought when I read this, I said, in doing this, Jesus wants to solve the whole gamut of problems, which was principally of taking away their distresses and their diseases. Now, think about this. Jesus did not say, okay, I have to share my authority, let me set up a commission, let me call for a synod, and I'm not making fun of the church and the synods that have just got over. I sometimes question it. I question what is the outcome, how much of money was spent, and what are we going to see and how are we going to see it. I have reservations about a lot of them, but let's have a great synod. Let's wait for 1,000 people. No, he went to 12. He just went to 12. He didn't wait for a perfect solution. He said, I can share my authority with those around me. Do that. If you are a person of authority in a church institution, in a church organization, share your authority with others, knowing that God wants you to spread the good news, not you are the boss. He sends them out with clear instructions. That's the third of Jesus' action plan. He is not vague, he is specific. Jesus doesn't say, okay, let's organize some fete, let's organize some, and I'm not disparaging fetes and parish programs. They are required for the social and cultural life of a parish, but not over spiritual needs. He is very clear with his instructions. Go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Proclaim hope. There you have that Advent word again. Proclaim hope, that the kingdom of heaven is close at hand. Proclaim it. Let people know that God is with us. God is among us. God is with you. Do not be dejected. Why have you been dejected? Why are you allowing yourself to be harassed? God is with you. Jesus is saying, go to the lost sheep. Yeah? The need is to go after those who do not want even God. They are the lost sheep. And then Jesus says, cure the sick, raise the dead, cleanse the lepers, cast out devils. Go do all of this. That's the action plan. Jesus says, I have surveyed, I have analyzed, I've got a 4-part action plan, and you are part of my action plan. You are one of the 12 I'm going to send out. Now, the question is that you're going to ask the Lord, hey Jesus, what's in it for me? What am I going to get out of it? Yeah? What do I get? What's in it for me? And I'm going to take you to the last line of today's gospel. You want to know what's in it for you? Read the last line of today's gospel. I should stop here, but I'm going to read it for you. The last line of today's gospel is, you received without charge, give without charge. You've received, all of you who have received, I've received. We have all received from God in our distress, in our depression, in our sadness, in our sickness, in our financial situations. We've received. Give without charge. What you have received, the love of God, you are obliged to share that, to give that, to impart that. Whatever the word is, whatever the word applicable to your state of life is, you need to do it. I want to end today's teaching with something I wrote. I said, God, in the first reading, is the teacher. God is teaching his own people. Jesus was touring, a pastoral tour. God is teaching, Jesus is touring. The disciples were healing and proclaiming. Let me say that again. God is teaching, Jesus is touring. The disciples are healing and proclaiming. What are you doing? What are you doing? And that's your Advent reflection. I'm not going to teach. I know I said I will teach the prophet Jeremiah on Sundays, but I need a bit of break also. I realize I'm overcommitting myself. So if I do a teaching tomorrow, it will be on the second Sunday. I might do a small reflection. For those of you who get it via WhatsApp, I will broadcast it. For those of you who do not get it via WhatsApp, all you got to do is check at about 4 o'clock whether the video is out, or 6 o'clock sometimes in the evening. I will try my best to put out a thought for the second Sunday of Advent. If ever I don't put out a video, it's not because I'm not well, it's just because my day has been overwhelming. On your part, may I ask you to share this video, please like it. Come on everybody, your 3,000 odd viewers, the more you like these, hit that like button, which is not much for you to do, the more the algorithm just pushes this YouTube video to more people. So like it, share it, leave your comments, and for those of you who would like to support this ministry, you can send me a message on my WhatsApp number. It's 9820242151. Again, as I say, in Advent and Lent, twice a year I make this appeal, either in Advent or at Lent, or in both the seasons. If you'd like to make a contribution, it will go a long way in making these videos possible. Thank you everybody, God bless you, and see you soon again.